got a lot to get through today. A lot. A lot. It's not that thick. Yeah. It's our last packet before spring break. I mean, besides the review packet, which that one is thick.
Wait, we have 2 weeks for sure.
No. Do you not realize?
Yes, 2 weeks till the end of the quarter after spring break. But that last week of the quarter is really wonky. There's no school on that Tuesday unless you're a junior.
Yeah,
Wait, so we have Monday, Wednesday, Thursday? What is it?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's because of ACTs. So it's a asynchronous day for freshmen, sophomores, and seniors. And then, which for you guys is going to be your review. So you still got stuff to do. And then your test is right before the end.
Is it going to count for that
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, it's on the last day of spring.
What?
The
My only worry is that because it's a 1 through 7 day, that means the periods are really short. So I don't know. I've been. Is your birthday the 6th too?
It's the 27th.
That's on the.
Yeah, but it's in April. Come on, put me on there.
Yeah, but that's on the next.
Yeah, just do it.
Not right now.
Wait, are you not on that day? Imagine
Wait, put the schedule back in the main picture. Put the schedule back up.
No.
Please?
No.
Please?
Yes, you have.
There's a few things that I've asked.
All right. So she found the confidence interval. Is 22 plausible? Yes, because it's in our confidence interval. So is the evidence statistically significant at alpha level 0.1? That one should say no. Because our p-value is probably going to be greater than or equal to 1, which means, greater than or equal to 0.1, which means we reject the null. Was that your?
No.
What?
For the construct and interpret, should we still do the 4-step process?
You should do state plan, do conclude, but we got a lot to get through.
Okay.
So I skipped over all that. Can I flip? Bianca, say it louder for me. Oh, yeah, sorry. No, Bianca. You must write it all out by hand. There's a lot of Yeah, go to stats.
Oh.
And then you can put your statistics.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wait,
Oh
how do you
my god.
find the
I was looking for this.
It was just a prediction.
I looked at
She just predicted it would be greater than alpha. All right. So, same idea as the warm-up, but we're actually going to do a significance test. We'll see how well Amelia's prediction holds up. So, hopefully you read the warm-up, because I'm not going to read it, but because it's the exact same paragraph. We're going to perform the appropriate significance test. This is the first time we're doing a significance test with means. State, plan, do, conclude. So state, what do we state when we're doing a significance test?
confidence.
No, that would be a confidence interval. We're doing a significance test. What do we have to get?
Significance.
Yes, say the significance.
Hayden?
Yes.
H null, HA, the parameter, which is going to be a mu. Alright, let's start there, and then we have a couple other things. What's our null hypothesis? What do I claim?
19.5.
I do not claim 19.5. I claim that the average is 22.
Oh.
Wait, what?
What does my mom think?
It's not equal to
No, this is crazy.
My mom thinks I'm crazy.
Not
She tells me that all the time too, quite often. But she really thinks that it's not equal to. She doesn't know less than or greater than. She just doesn't believe me.
how crazy.
I know, rude.
Yeah.
So the mu, when we define it, we're looking for the true mean age of pennies in the jar. But I'm not going to put in the jar so I don't run out of room. Oh my goodness, you guys. What's up with the side conversation?
I saw a famous rapper went to the
Gordon.
gym or something.
Yeah. I literally saw him playing basketball, and then I was like, that was a really good guy.
Who was the rapper?
YBN Cardi.
It's not YBN
Blah,
anymore.
blah, 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 blah. Why do rappers gotta have these weird names?
Is he actually famous?
At least he didn't have Lil in his name.
He has a concert, actually.
Alright, Hayden,
He had a concert yesterday.
what do I need to do now?
State?
I'm so mad. Go to Texas.
No, in the state, you said it earlier.
Remind me.
Significance.
And what is our significance level?
0.05.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last thing is your statistic. Oops, sorry, I don't know how my page got sideways. So from my mom's sample, she got an average of 19.5 and a standard deviation of 13. So we got our state done. Then we're going to plan. What are our conditions we need to check?
10%.
Which goes under which of the three things? Random, normal, or independent? We do check 10%. Which one does it go for?
Oh.
I. Independent. Random. Usually that's in there somewhere. Where does it say? She took a random sample of 40 pennies. So I'm just going to quote the word random. Normal. Now with proportions, we did n times p is greater than or equal to 10, and n times 1 minus p is greater than or equal to 10. How do we show normal for means? Just two ways. I know, right? I started to say NP is greater than or equal to 10, and I looked back there and I went, oh, Cheyenne is absent.
That's what I said.
Say it again. I heard, no. Two ways. One, the problem will tell you it follows a normal distribution, in which case you would just quote normal, like it says we quote random. If it doesn't tell us it's normal, we want our sample size to be bigger than what? 30. And then the central limit theorem tells us that it's going to be normal.
30.
So sample size is bigger than 30. So the central limit theorem takes over and says it'll be normal. Because my mom took a sample of 40 pennies. And then, like Calvin said, for independent, we check the 10% condition. I've never actually counted all the pennies I have in there, but it's probably over 400.
What if it's $3.99?
I got some more in here to add to my container. I don't know where those came from. I got more. I'm sure I've got some in my purse too. So we're gonna go with it's bigger. And then what do you, with a proportion, it was called a 1 prop z test. What do you think it's called for a mean? T test. Do we need to draw our normal curve? The null hypothesis is going to be at the center, which is 22. Anybody remember how to find standard deviation for means? Square root is in there, Maddie. Say it, Nate.
That's the verb over the square root of n.
Thank you, sir. Take this, I can't speak, standard deviation of your sample divided by the square root of your sample size. So for this, our standard deviation of our sample is 13. And then we're going to divide that by the square root of 40, whatever that gives us. I'm trying to decide if I want to go with more decimals than 1. It just seems so easy to go with 2.1. Fine, we'll go with 2.1. Really shouldn't round that much, but it just makes life so much easier. So that, excuse me, means this is 24.1, 26.2. Hey, that's a marathon. 28.3. If I take away 2.1, that'd be 19.9, 17.8, 15.7. We have to give the general formula. It's the same whether you're working with proportions or means. Your test statistic comes from your statistic minus your parameter divided by your standard deviation. Now, because it's means, it's t, not z. So t is equal to our statistic is x bar, our parameter is mu, and then like Nate reminded us, standard deviation is s sub x divided by the square root of n. Calculator will give you what t is equal to. And the calculator will give you your p-value as well. But before we go to the calculator, what do we need to shade on our normal curve? The sides, 2 sides, because it's not equal to. How far away do we go? From the mean, I guess I should say. How far from the mean should we go? What's our statistic? Our x bar? 19.5. So we're going to go to 19.5 over here, which we'll say is like there-ish, right? That looks good. X bar equals 19.5. And then I go the same distance away from the mean on the other side. So 19.5 is 2.5 away from the mean. So I'm going to go 2.5 away from the mean the other way, which would be 24.5. So we'll say there-ish. And then we're going to find that area and that area. Any questions before I cover it up with my calculator? All right. How did we get to one prop Z test? Stat test 5, but now we're looking for T test. Where's that? 2. So just like with the T interval, if you're putting the data into the list, you can tell the calculator to use the data from the list, or you're going to input your statistics like we're going to do now. So my null hypothesis is that the mean is 22. The statistic that we got from the sample is 19.5. Standard deviation is 13. And then our sample size was 40. Our alternative is not equal to, so we're going to choose that first one. And then do we want to calculate or draw? Draw. I heard draw. Draw. Ooh, I got stuff in there. I got a dot in the equations. But for the most part, the focus is on the normal curve for us. T equals negative 1.2163, and my p-value is 0.2312. What was your question? I'm sorry.
Wait, why do we have to draw?
You don't have to. You can hit calculate. I just asked what we wanted. 2163. And this was 0.2312. All right. It's been a while. We're going to write our novel. You guys ready to write the novel? How do we start our novel?
We are.
No, that would be for an interval.
In the beginning.
In the beginning. No, Zach. Assuming H null is true. You always assume H null is true. There is a 0.2312 probability. I'm going to abbreviate probabilities since I don't have much space to write, of getting an X bar. Now, because it's two-sided, I'm not going to specifically say 19.5. I'm going to say an X bar that is 2.5 or more away from the mean, because that works for both sides. Getting an X bar that is 2.5 or more away from the mean. Purely by chance. Is that strong or weak evidence?
Weak.
Thank you. This provides weak evidence against H null. And if it's weak, is it statistically significant or not? Not. This provides weak evidence against H null. Is not statistically significant. At alpha equals 0.05. 0.2312 is greater than or equal to 0.05. Therefore, we reject or fail to reject H null. And if we fail to reject H null, can we or can we not conclude? Cannot conclude the alternative. That the true mean age is not equal to 22. That true mean age of pennies not equal to 22. Question? Hannah?
I'm pretty sure one was around but just to make sure I'm getting right. It's when p's more than alpha, it's in diverse form.
Correct. Any other questions? Can I slightly move it? Amelia?
How come if the value is, or the estimate thing is greater than alpha, if we rejected it?
Because it's a Monday and my brain wasn't working. You were right to begin. Sorry. On the warm-up, we should have said failed to reject. But my brain wasn't working.
Hey, it's okay, it's Monday.
Right? And I got no sleep. Which leads us into that was not done on purpose. My daughter kept me up quite a bit last night. All right, next example. Mr. Bellsberg and I believe that teachers at North Medford High School are getting less than the recommended 8 hours of sleep per night. To test this belief, we asked a random sample of 20 teachers to record the number of hours of sleep from the previous night. Here are the results. So I'm going to change a word in here so that when we check our conditions, they're all met. I'm going to change teachers to employees. There are not 200 teachers, but there are at least 200 employees here at North. All right. So we have our data. We're going to do our significance test. Do you guys feel like you can do this one on your own?
Yeah.
So when you do your t-test, instead of choosing statistics, you're going to choose data, because I gave you a list of data to put into your calculator. Now the other thing, on the conclude, if you want to write the whole novel, go ahead, or you can just put the basics so that we don't have to spend a huge amount of time worrying about the conclusion. Excuse me.
I'm on the floor.
He's using the video
Because-
game chair.
These two white people right here kicked me on the floor because I'm
Whoa. Damn. Racially motivated.
Wait, what? Why is it changed to employees?
Because there's not 200 teachers, but there are 200 employees. That way your independent
It's a
position
simple
is
20
met.
teachers.
Yes, but when you check independence, your sample size has to be less than 1/10 of the population. There's not
So,
200 teachers,
20 times 10. No.
but there's around 200 employees. I don't know the exact number. Bless you. Yes. No. No. What do I? We believe that they are getting less. So the null is equal to 8, the recommended amount, but Mr. Bellsberg and I believe. No, just less than 8.
I feel bad for this person who got 3 hours of sleep.
Say that
You
again?
still win.
I feel bad for the person who got 3 hours of sleep.
That was me last night.
Oh, really?
This roll.
What?
I'm confused.
About?
This one. Like it's supposed to be greater than 30 plus 20 greater than 30.
Is it? What? Yeah.
So,
It looks like snow.
no, it works.
Is
It just,
Where is it?
I have to put in my data. I don't have it in there yet. And then I'll show you why it works.
Actually,
I promise it works. Just keep going and I'll come back to normal for you.
is that blue?
Did you go on your run today, Miss Boyle?
I did.
Even with 3 hours of sleep?
Yeah, well, I figured if I'm not sleeping, I might as well
Might
get
as well
up
go
and
on a
run. So I got up and ran.
Dedication.
All right. So when you get to the plan part and you get to normal, it doesn't tell us that it follows a normal distribution, nor is our sample size greater than 30. And last chapter, I told you that you could use T procedures if your sample size was medium, which 20 is medium, and you had no extreme skewness or outliers. Excuse me, I don't know why I can't talk. So if we check, we go into our stat plot, and I don't know, let's use a box plot because it would show me if I have outliers. I don't want frequency. Then I'm going to hit zoom 9. Oh, what did I do? I thought I got rid of the frequency. 1. Let's go zoom 9. So if we look at a box plot of that data, it doesn't show that one of the whiskers is really longer than the other, so no skewness. Nor does it have any dots on either side, so no outliers. So even though the sample size is less than 20, because it's a medium sample and our data is not skewed or has outliers, we can assume normality and continue with our T procedure. And thank you for bringing that up, Maddie and Jillian.
So what do we put for
Just something like, I'm not going to write it in here because I don't know, I don't want to get it in the way of my other writing, but you would say something like, no skewness, no outliers. because that tells me that you've checked. I mean, technically, you probably should draw like a very basic sketch of your box plot. That's not quite exactly. I made the right side of my box a little bigger than it actually is. But that way I know that you've actually looked at the data in a graph to check for skewness and outliers instead of just assuming.
I'll be right there.
Second one is.
There you go. I don't know why it alpha logs when you're doing that.
I'm gonna go home and fill out some application.
No, opposite.
It's opposite.
Somebody's gonna get a job?
I'm gonna apply at the school, be a teacher. Nice.
Obviously, it doesn't take much.
Oh,
Oh!
out of pocket.
I'm just kidding.
That was a mess.
It should be the other way.
Standard deviation or aspects?
The point should be going towards M.
Is there a drawn on?
I wondered after.
No, you should always put M first.
That's it.
U is equal to 8. No,
Beautiful.
that's what it was.
But
That's
this
what it
was-
was. Yeah, wait.
It's always a
Equal to 8, U is less than 8. That's what I thought. Okay. Now
You
you're
couldn't even like say a word. It's like,
right? It's less than. Yeah.
This one? How?
Did you not hear me just talk about that?
Well, it's not the same. It's because this one's not central.
Right. So check your data. I made a box plot of it. There's no skewness, there's no outliers, so I can keep using my T procedures. No napping.
Right. I also did not kind of see this. Essentially.
Tells us that if our sample size is greater than or equal to 30, that it doesn't matter what population looks like, the sample will be normal.
Not greater than 30 bucks, is what you said. What I just said.
What does N stand
Yeah.
for?
Yeah. 2.1 divided by square root of 20. No. Well, Lucas used to watch it when he was little. Henry and Molly don't have it. I don't know why it jumps in the head all the time, but it does. Probably because of me.
Are there more than 200 days here?
If it's like strong evidence, weak evidence, or like statistically significant.
Are you rejecting or failing to reject?
I'm just gonna do this check. So,
Which means you have strong.
okay, so
evidence.
I wrote this provides strong evidence against additional evidence. Is that right?
Yeah.
So good at making verbs, but I don't know what they mean.
Science.
Correctly.
Okay, say.
In the chair? You can't do it more than
Is that really the wrong navigator?
What?
You should be eating the 8.
What? He's less than. She thinks that they get less than. Yeah, but
That says more than 8.
this one's the algorithm.
14 being the biggest.
Oh, that included the alternative.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Sounds so excited.
Hopefully we don't do something like stack tape.
Is it PM or like
What?
duct tape chase?
It's 1 or 2 seconds.
And then from on top of it.
You're so right. You're so right.
Huh?
Really bad.
I don't know.
Yeah, the senior break is me.
Why do you assume
We should print out pictures of Dr. Omar.
I'm assuming.
Space.
How long do you think it would take to cover like the
They did the same
entire?
thing. You left
What?
previous.
Well, if we have a whole.
When you shade
So
it,
that
that's
no one
how
has
you
to
shade it.
It's
Yeah.
not.
That is
So the whole
exactly what I did, and I was like, there's no way it's -30.
That's the and then during the middle of the day,
First time you put it up there,
The
I didn't
p-value
catch
is straight
that.
up
I was
zero.
like,
And I was like, that's not right.
I don't know how I just missed it.
What do you do?
I did this as
Maybe
like,
your hair is so much Only little would care.
Just would like to
swim 2 hours a week per night.
publish or getting an X bar that is less than maybe 3 like
less than.
You know, I was gonna say I would don't need the letter stars.
But the rest of it's right.
Yeah.
Right.
I told you what the
What else
method
is
is, right?
What was
At
it?
least I got practice doing double sided.
Shelly's gonna stay
No.
for us.
Serious.
With that normal for Molly.
What is that? That's like
Yeah.
show me.
When we get to our stress, I see.
You're gonna
I
sleep.
can't sleep for like.
Yes.
No way.
I mean,
It was actually.
Wait,
It was
is T-Rolls
You're
is
gonna
that
do
what
Oh, this side's
maybe
the
2 or 3 hours of sleep.
Luke says that.
And then the last
It's
week,
really
I just literally didn't sleep.
Sleep deprivation.
It's like a
And then on the weekend, or it was during
Because
break.
the thing was
And then like the first day of break,
literally
slept all 3
I
Sundays.
love
Literally slept all 3 Sundays.
Oh.
It was really funny because like I went to bed at like 3 p.m.
I need to watch her do part.
Woke up, clock said 5. Oh, I must have only slept 2 hours. No, I slept for 26.
That's what he's posted like a photo of them.
And that's my record. Which I was I'll probably do my record. Because of how
All right, Maddie's gonna plan for us. Go, Maddie, go. Go, Maddie, go.
Like every 5 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
I'm kidding.
Go,
I
Maddie,
appreciate
go. Go, Maddie,
Okay,
go.
thanks.
Woo, woo. Go, Maddie. Go.
Why are you cheering me on?
I don't know, just because you told me to stop. I'm like the mom whose kid is like, stop, Mom, you're embarrassing me, so I do it more.
Oh, that's good.
Actually, I'm not. You
So I
can
should
ask
say keep
Lucas.
going, and you'll just like.
I'll be like, no biggie then, so I'll stop.
You're that mom at games. Gonna be go, Lucas.
Anna, where are you supposed to be?
Right now?
Yeah, it says school activity.
I guess I can leave.
No, don't leave. I like you here.
I think I gotta go.
I have jamboree.
Oh.
Yeah.
Softball?
Yeah.
It says at lunch, though.
Well, if I'm excused.
No. Never mind, I misread it.
Never
Okay.
mind.
That's messed up, school.
I don't believe you.
Smart lady. But we're going to pretend I misread it. 'Cause I like having you here.
Is it Sam release time?
It says lunch in the email. The email says lunch. Please dismiss the following softball players today, Monday, March 14th, 2022, during lunch. And then your name's there. But then, on attendance, it says you're excused. No, it doesn't.
You keep getting caught.
All right, Haley is gonna come do for us. Excuse me.
It's like a half smile.
She's my journalism teacher last year.
I was in that class with you.
And now I have Miss. It's because she feels OG because I had a freshman.
Oh, I think that's like.
This one? Oh, scissors? I don't think I've had scissors on me since like, you know what?
Which is so weird.
Why did you have
That's
yeah,
I know.
you sat at a table and then I go to the table usually.
Markers and scissors.
You know what I used to do? Ew!
Huh?
I used to rub my friend's pencils and glue in them. Ew, what the? And like,
Well, I like when they brought their
No, you were definitely
that thing was like,
My dog, you know, she'd be crazy. I love your dog. I love my dog.
Whenever in North Valley High School, it was
you know
a
what?
small,
That sounds so amazing.
like 700 for the whole,
What?
and
You know Anna in 5th grade?
They made the seniors.
She was screaming that
Oh, yeah. You would. You would.
They didn't just come and like screw around. They followed that kid's steps. Like they really planned it out. And like,
The teachers were like, who are you? You say, could you say? I get that. You like, where did I see that?
Not really. I don't even know. I've never met him.
all right.
My cousin's
I have to say I'm pretty proud. I couldn't find anybody to do the conclusion because you all wrote the novel.
It's a novel.
Wackos. We gave you permission to do the short little bit, and you all wrote novels. All right. What is the basic idea behind our conclusion? Yes. What's your question?
What do you put in for mu? Like in the TA tools.
The 8? Because you're asking when you do the t-test, it says mu null, right? That's what you're asking in t-test?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's asking you for the null. It's just reminding you that it's not a mean. What's the basic behind our conclusion? Are we going to reject or fail to reject? Reject, which means reject H null, accept the alternative. They don't sleep 8 hours like they should.
I'm so hungry right now. I'm not spending any money. I have no food in my house.
All right.
That's how I feel, bro. But I just eat like dry ramen or some shit.
You guys will do great in college. Try ramen. All right. Any questions on that one before we look at our next example? No.
Why do you say that? Now I just like have it.
All right. My husband didn't really do this one, but I thought it'd be a cool example. But this is not ethical at all, so he didn't do it.
What's your shirt set?
You want a piece of this? It's Pi Day.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it's March 14th.
2,
Pi Day.
6, 5, 3, 5, 8, 9, 7, 9, 3, 2.
All right. Mr. Bellsberg believes that taking a smart pill minutes before a test will improve scores. See, it's not ethical. He can't drug kids. He takes an SRS at 10 AP Psychology students and uses them as part of an experiment. Each selected student will be part of the experiment for 2 tests. Before one of the tests, Mr. Bellsberg will give them a smart pill. Before the other test, he'll give them a placebo. He will randomize the order with which the treatments are given using a table of random digits. Below are the test scores. So we have our 10 students. They have their test scores after the placebo, test scores after the smart pill. So, way back to chapter 4, what kind of, I know, right? There was no math in chapter 4. What's the name of this experimental design?
Single one. Like,
Placebo. No, the placebo effect is what he does.
Having the same person do both treatments is called
No, don't minus what he does.
single one.
an experiment. It's called a matched pairs experiment.
I would never remember that.
I was half
I know, right? I hated chapter 4 because we're comparing their scores with their own scores. We matched them up with themselves.
No way.
All right. So how could we do a significance test here? Say it louder for me, Maddie. I'm deaf. No. Okay. Because we can't put in 2 lists of data and do a t-test. T-test only works with 1 list of data. What is Mr. Bellsberg's belief?
That it will improve scores.
Smart pill improves scores. So how could we look at whether the scores actually did improve?
Just look at the before. Like,
And in math, we would use adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Divide. Subtract. So we're going to look at the difference between the scores.
Exactly. I'm so sick. You read my mind.
I know, right?
I'm like that, except I like the
Big brain.
Now, we get to define whether we're going to do placebo minus smart pill or smart pill minus placebo. Since he thinks the smart pill is going to improve the scores, I would say let's do smart pill minus placebo, because if the scores do improve, we're looking at positive numbers, and I personally like positive numbers better than negative. My brain works better with them.
Yep.
So we're going to take the smart pill minus placebo, which means I suppose we could use our calculator. Try and do some mental math. Smart pill is the bottom number, so I'm going to do it backwards. Bottom minus top. 91 minus 89 is 2. 80 minus 71 is 9. 90 minus 93 is negative 3, so that kid, the smart pill, didn't help. Negative 2, that kid, the smart pill, didn't help. That's 10. Ooh, that kid got a lot of help from the smart pill. That's 6, 0, 5, 4. Ooh, and that kid got lots of help from the smart pill. I'll give you a smart pill on Thursday.
Yes.
They're called Smarties.
Oh.
All right. Your guys' laugh was like, oh yeah, she's funny. All right, so you're going to put that difference list into your calculator, and then that's the data you're going to do your significance test off of. Say that again? Yeah. I mean, I suppose I could do it with you. What's our null hypothesis? Yes. that would be the alternative. That our average would be higher, right? So we're looking at a difference. So assuming the smart pill doesn't do anything, the difference is going to be 0. And we would think, because Mr. Bellsberg thinks it's going to improve scores, so we're going to say the alternative is the mean is greater than 0. Just met Kim. One test. What's our alpha level? 0.05. Has anybody gotten the mean and the standard deviation yet?
Yeah.
From our list?
The mean's 4.3, and then the standard deviation is 5.1.
Thanks, Hannah. Any questions on that part? Then on the plan, t-test is our calculator function. Random, it says he took an SRS. Normal. Does it say it's normal? Is our sample size greater than 30? No. So, oh man, I haven't put my data in yet. It's okay, it's only 10 pieces of data. 2, 9, negative 30, negative 2, 10, 6, 0, 5, 4, 12. Zoom 9. There's my box plot. That's actually extremely normal looking. Like they're all pretty equal segments. So my graph shows that it's normal. Now here's the thing. We're going to change. We're going to say that he gave it to his students. We're going to get rid of the words AP Psych. Because he's definitely got over 100 students. He doesn't have over 100 AP Psych students. Right. So if I say students, then, because he's got 180 students, we all have 180. Then our independent conditions met. Good on the plan? Now hopefully you can do the do on your own, because it's just like the previous one. What did I do, Hannah? With which part?
So I keep getting the wrong answer with the T.
Oh, I just want to see you share such. Oh, shoot, I didn't.
All right. So, what am I waiting for? I don't have time to wait. No, it's okay. That was it? All right, no, you're fine. Hopefully you got that T equals 2.66662. I might have said too many sixes. I don't know. P-value 0.0129. So is our p-value less than alpha or greater than or equal to alpha? Less. Which means strong or weak evidence. Which means we reject or fail to reject.
We don't fail to
Reject.
No, we reject.
R-E-J. Oh, that's one way to do it.
Why can't we just do that?
Yeah, why can't we
It's
do
so
that?
much easier.
The test graders would be like,
Not on the test. Yeah.
but what about on our test?
No.
No?
No, I gotta get you in the habit.
I guess. You're right.
Well, then what? How is that fair to the kids who are taking the AP test?
It's for preparing them. They have to do it, but we don't.
No, but they no. Good try. All right, we're gonna skip this one. This was just another one where you're looking at the difference, but I'm running out of time, and I want to talk about these fill in the blanks. All right. Sorry. This, we were looking at the difference between new curriculum. So I'm going to read it. It says the Medford School District is interested in adopting new curriculum. To see if the new curriculum is effective, the district randomly selects 500 students and compares their scores on a standardized test after the curriculum change with their scores on the same test before the curriculum change. The mean improvement was an average difference, that's what the D stands for, of 0.9 with a standard deviation of 12. So we were going to look at the significance test, but we're running out of time. There are two problems with the result from the previous example. Because we are comparing the new scores to the scores before the new curriculum, we would expect an increase no matter what the curriculum was, just because kids had more exposure to material. So when you have a difference question, you do have to think about whether the result is practically significant. Now, if we had done that significance test, it is statistically significant, but it's not practically significant. It doesn't specify what the standardized test is. So let's say it was the SAT. What is a good, well, what is the perfect score on the SAT? Yeah, 1600. Is increasing by less than a point really that good? No. So even though our statistical test tells us that it was a good result, an increase of 0.9 points on a 1,600 point test really is not that different. So then down below, Mr. Black believes that playing music during class will improve test scores. He informs his classes of this idea and then begins playing music during class. He tells the class that he will measure the results with the chapter test at the end of the chapter. At the end of the chapter, he finds that test scores have improved on average by 4.3%. This is statistically significant with a p-value of 0.03. What are two potential problems with his experiment? He told them. What is that called? AP Psych kids?
Did we talk about that class too?
No, we haven't talked about it. It's called the Hawthorne effect, where his suggestion of music improving scores are going to help them because they know that he's watching them for their test scores to improve. And then what's another issue that could come up from it? Any of you taken Mr. Black's class? Are all his tests equally as hard? Certain chapters easier than other chapters? Are certain chapters in statistics easier than other chapters in statistics? No? So it could have been that this chapter test just happened to be an easier chapter. And I'm going to put quotations around easier because, yeah. I'm not going to have a question like this on the test, so I don't think I need to go over it. It just says that if you were to do 46 significance tests and 2 of them are statistically significant, does that mean that you got a statistically significant result? And it's not. You would expect to have a couple out of that many that show up statistically significant, even if it is. I was still talking.
I know, I was thinking this way.
Well, now I'm done.
Oh, sorry.
Gosh.